So therefore, we try not to have vulgar mouths either. Yeah, simple. Question number 16. What makes halal meat different than Safeway meat? So halal meat is slaughtered when halal. There's a number of things that make a meat halal. So when halal meat is slaughtered, it is slaughtered with the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the remembrance of God. Also, the jugular vein is supposed to be cut completely so that the blood completely drains out of the animal. The animal is not supposed to be forced or dragged to the area that it's going to be slaughtered at. It's not supposed to be slaughtered in front of other animals. It's not supposed to be, the knife is not supposed to be sharpened in front of the animal. And it's supposed to be killed in a very, very quick and as painlessly as possible. So that's what makes halal meat different than regular meat. Question number 17. Why can't Muslims date and have extramarital relationships? You get this question a lot. And the reason Muslims don't date is because we don't mess around. We don't try to, we court for the purpose of marriage. We court for the end goal, which is to have a family, raise beneficial members of society. We believe that there is a time and place for everything. And high school is not the time or the place to date. You're supposed to be focused on school. And yeah, that's why we don't have that's why we don't date. It's because we don't mess around. We're trying to have a family that will be beneficial members of society. Simple as that. Question number 18. Can Muslims eat seafood? Yes, most Muslims eat everything that's in the sea. However, there is a small opinion that some Muslims shouldn't eat shellfish. There's a small opinion that we shouldn't eat shellfish, such as lobster, crab, shrimp. So there is that small opinion, so you should know about that, but a majority of Muslims do eat everything that is in the sea. Question number 19. Why do you fast in Ramadan? So the reason we fast in Ramadan is, first of all, it's a pillar of Islam. It's one of the pillars of Islam. God asks us to fast. That's the main reason we fast, because He asks us to. But also, Islam teaches us to have self-control. It teaches us how the less fortunate feel. The people who don't have food on their table every single night. It teaches us self-discipline. And the really beautiful thing about fasting is that it is the most intimate act of worship you can have. Because only you and God know if you're really fasting. Only you and God know if you're really fasting. All the other ones are out. All the other acts of worship are outwards, doing dhikr, praying. Everyone can see you doing that. But fasting, only you truly know, and God, if you're truly fasting. Question number 20. Okay, now we're in category number 3, which is Arabic phrases. Question number 20. What does Allahu Akbar mean? Allahu Akbar means God is great, God is greater, God is greatest. It means any of those things. Basically, God is great. It's very simple. Just God is great. That's what it means. And Muslims use it when they're happy and when they're sad. Simple. Okay, question number 21. This is category number 4 or 5. Violence, jihad, 9/11, and ISIS. My handwriting is a bit bad, so yeah. Question number 21. Are you a terrorist? The question number 21 is: are you a terrorist? Some people say that there is no such thing as a stupid question, but that right there, are you a terrorist? That question right there is proof of a stupid question. Yeah, sometimes the best response to an answer is silence, and that's how I would deal with this one. It's a very stupid question. Question number 22. What is ISIS, and what does it have to do with Islam? ISIS is a death cult, and it has nothing to do with Islam. Simple as that. ISIS is a death cult, has nothing to do with Islam. Question number 23. Are people in ISIS Muslim? People in ISIS are their own version of Islam. They do not follow the Islam that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ practiced. They do not follow the Islam that I practice, and they do not follow the Islam that any of you guys here practice. They like to pick and choose what they want from the religion. So they do not follow true Islam. They follow their own warped version of Islam, and that's the answer you should give people. Question number 24. How do you feel about 9/11? Sometimes the best way to answer a question is with a question. You can ask the person asking this question, how do you feel about Pearl Harbor? 9/11, both days were terrible days. Both days were days that our countries were attacked. People died on both days. And we hope that nothing like that ever happens again. We feel the same way that everyone feels about 9/11. Simple. Question number 25. Do terrorists go to heaven for fighting for Islam? So, for this question, tell the person that we don't know who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. That is only for God to decide. Only God knows who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. However, we do know that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us what to do to go to heaven and what not to do so that you don't enter hell. And terrorizing people is not going to get you to heaven. So that's the answer that I would give them. Question number 26. Why do your people want to destroy the U.S.? Why do your people kill innocent civilians? So at some point, you need to draw the line and realize when someone is being sincere when they're asking you a question and when they're just being a jerk. Don't feel like just because you're Muslim you have to answer every single question that someone throws at you. No, if it's a stupid question, don't answer. Don't let yourself be put into a box. If someone asked me this question, if a white American asked me this question, I would say, why did your people enslave blacks? Why did your people kill Native Americans? Why did your people drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan? Why did your people enslave Japanese? If it was a Mexican, I would say, why are your people part of drug cartels? If it was an Italian person, I would say, why are your people part of the mafia? If it was an Israeli person, you'd say, why are your people killing the Palestinians? If it was a Hindu Indian person, you could say, why are your people persecuting Muslims and Sikhs in India? So it's very wrong to put someone. Every culture, every society has a negative part in their history, and it's very wrong to put someone just in that negative part of their society. Question number 27. What is jihad? Jihad means struggle. That's literally what it means. Jihad means struggle. Getting up for school every day, is it jihad? Going on a diet is a jihad. Lifting weights is a jihad. That's what jihad is. Jihad just means struggle. There's a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was coming back from a battle, and he told his companions, now we go from the lesser jihad to the greater jihad. And the Sahaba, his companions, asked him, what is the greater jihad? And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ responded by saying, the greater jihad is the jihad against oneself, one's ego. So you can tell people this because it really shows that jihad is not all about fighting in war. Also, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was a general on the battlefield, and he made war more civilized, which sounds crazy because how can war be civilized? War is one of the most uncivilized things. But the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was able to make war more civilized. Because through his example, we know that we are not allowed to kill women and children. We are not allowed to poison wells. We are not allowed to destroy crops, and we are not allowed to we're not allowed to kill people by fire. I'll take the questions after. Question number 28. Does Islam love war? The answer to this one is no, short and simple. And you can give an example of this is when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was coming back to Mecca. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was coming back to Mecca, and he was returning to Mecca as the victor, he came with a huge army. He could have destroyed the Quraysh. He could have destroyed them. They killed his companions. They killed his family members. He could have just had revenge, but instead he decided not to, and he didn't even hurt one person. And that is an example of how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tried to avoid war. Question number 29. What is Sharia law? Sharia law is what prohibits me from murdering someone. Sharia law is what prohibits me from cheating. Sharia law is what prohibits me from stealing. Sharia law is what prohibits me from having an affair. It requires me. Sharia law is what requires me to follow the Constitution of the United States, because the Sharia law states that you have to follow the rule of the land that you live in, even if it is not a Muslim country. So Sharia law is just the do and don'ts of my religion. Simple as that. Question number 30. Why are Muslims bad? Again, this is one of those dumb questions, but I would respond by just saying, meet my dad, meet my mom, meet my aunt, meet my uncle, meet my brother, and you'll know that we are not all bad. You want people to realize how, if they're asking a stupid question, you want people to realize that they're asking a stupid question. So yeah, simple as that. Question number 31. Is your religion different from what we see on TV? The answer to this is yes. Fox News is not interested in my family or my community. So yes, what you see on TV is very different from what we actually practice. And yeah, that's it. Those were all the questions. Thank you so much for listening to me. You all here are probably more qualified to be standing up here and answering these questions, but Uncle Mubin asked me, and I can't refuse our teacher. So it's as simple as that. If you're, are there any questions?
So seafood, like predators in the water, is that okay for people to eat, or is that
I don't really know. I believe there's a difference of opinion. There are some Muslims that won't eat sharks, but there's some that are. So it really depends on what your family practices.
Mustafa, did you have a question? Mustafa, did you have a question?
I have to. Is it okay to fish?
Is it okay to fish?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. For the music question, for like the instrument, would drums be like considered like not to get like obsessed over with? Like, could you still play that too?
Yeah. Drums are completely allowed in Islam.
Anything else, guys? Yes.
So what you said about like pigs and like how they don't run and stuff, most people would just say like, oh yeah, they wash their pig after or whatever. So like, how do you respond to that?
Well, you can mention what pigs eat. What do they internalize? Pigs eat garbage. That's literally what they eat. They eat slop. They eat all the food that people don't want to eat. That's what they feed to pigs. So it's really disgusting. So inside they're pretty disgusting too. And the fact that they don't sweat, like they don't sweat. Like, their sweat's just in their flesh.
Another way to address that question too is like to also talk about halal meat versus non-zabiha meat, and like why slaughtering an animal and raising it, importantly, like not ingesting with hormones and everything is also important, because we care about the cleanliness and the quality of the actual meat itself too. It doesn't just have to come from any animal. So to say like even if you look at chickens or cows, like that McDonald's or like other places like that have, like we don't eat that either, just because of how they're raised and fed. Yes, Amar.
How would you respond to like a terrorist